Professor Rajesh Singh, Professor Chaudhary, Professor Jha, the over 113 or 30 delegates. This presidential address at the 3-day international seminar on education, society and social challenges starts with a question. Are social challenges interlinked with education? Education, it is believed currently, is the cause of prosperity. If it can lead to prosperity, which is economic, can it solve problems in society too? Prosperity in the developed world was achieved through two revolutions, the industrial and the digital one. Both were accompanied by a spread of education. The OECD discovered after 2008 that despite prosperity with spread of education, growth was accompanied by social pain. The OECD and the World Economic Forum conclude that global challenges are linked with education. The 2008 crisis was blamed by some on the MBA curriculum. The OECD after 2008 changed its goal from economic prosperity to human well-being. It has a target of achieving it by 2030. For this, it seeks to transform education, seeking values to transform attitudes. The World Economic Forum seeks character for building competencies. Foundational literacies are only 1/3 of the skills which will be needed for the 21st century according to it. Competencies like creativity will be needed with character. How to build character and values, how to transform attitudes, this is the current challenge for education. 5 questions need to be answered for this. Who will build character? Who will be the role model or who will set the example? The second question is, what builds character? Is it lectures or is it practice? What explores the inner world where character is built? The third is, where will it be built? Will character be built in the classroom or on the playfield, at home or in group assignments, or in the way the curriculum exposes the student to society? The next question is, how will character be built? What is the methodology? Will technology help? Will there be a sensitivity to the unique capabilities that each child has? Or will we ask ourselves how to set an example for the child to learn from? The last question is, when will character be built? Have we identified the stages of character building? And which stage starts when? It is now clear from what the World Economic Forum says that character can no longer be ignored as a religious activity. India's strength has been its unity in diversity, especially in religions. Can we use it to identify values which are common to all faiths to guide everybody? Practicing them built character for thousands of years in India. What are these values? This presentation identifies 4 such values, which lead to a 5th. These are, the first value is truth. All sciences search for the truth. We search for the truth whether the earth is round or is it flat. Does the sun go around the earth or does the earth go around the sun? We are finding the truth. Humans too want to find the truth about themselves. What is their inner nature? What is the truth about them? This search leads to the discovery of human values within them. The second thing that we identify which builds character is righteous conduct. All religions ask us to do the right thing. What does such activity lead to? It leads to a balance in society. Nature too is exhibiting a balance. Is it because every element in nature is following its right conduct? That H2 always mixes with O to give us water. It never says, I will not do it. So that is the idea of balance. The third value we say, which we recognize, is peace. All religions ask for it. The area of mindfulness in business and life is all about seeking inner peace. And the final, fourth value that we recognize is love. All religions ask us to practice selfless love. A management research by two professors of Emory University, USA and Babson College, USA, along with a leading management consultant, shows its effectiveness in business. These four practices lead to the fifth character building value, which is non-violence. Can a conviction to use and apply these at work and life emerge from a study of subjects, from a curriculum design? A research has been done on this. The idea is to use current faith practiced at home as a basis of applying its value in life. This is the way to build character and transform attitudes. Indian tradition has a history of practices that support such ideas. Can we use these? Education should guide society to meet social challenges. What are the four main social challenges today? The first is the obvious COVID-19 challenge. The second is a fear of recession due to decrease in demand. The third is a threat from technology to employment. The fourth is mental health. Enough has been discussed on COVID and recession, so we will look into the other two challenges and see what they mean to us. What is the challenge from technology? Will the application of science make humans unfit to work? Disruptive technology, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things are threatening jobs today. Elon Musk has predicted that shortly in the future, all of us will be unemployed. Therefore, he is recommending a universal basic income for everybody. But will this be good for human beings? The UK Health Foundation finds that not only a job, but a good job is necessary for human health. Is there an alternate vision to this? The chairman of Tata Group, who was earlier heading Tata Consultancy Services, has written a book, Digital Nation. He gives ways to produce employment using technology in India. This is a totally different attitude. How to teach different attitudes to students? Education should give a balanced mind to guide choices. How to promote use of technology to enable this? Students may not know the subject that the teacher teaches, but they know that Google has the answers. If the teachers ask this question from themselves, can I give a better way to give the same answer? Then students will trust the teacher. For only the teacher can judge the quality of the answer that the student is getting on Google. So who will guide students on what other questions they are asking Google? They can just pick up and ask Google anything. So what to search for in life and work? How to search? Where to search? When to search what? At what age should the child search for what kind of knowledge? Movies are rated PG-13 and A. Children are being exposed to all content which would otherwise be in such movies. Who will guide them? What is the education that will make the child say, this is not what I have to search for? Who has the right answers to the right questions? Let us get back to the purpose of education. The purpose of education is to produce tomorrow's citizens who can fill the future with hope. They should have innovative mindsets, they should be joyful, they should be blissful, they should add value to society by adding value to themselves. Ancient wisdom said that all this is possible by achieving the goal of education, which is to build character. So let us go to the next challenge. The second challenge is the epidemic, which is maybe as large, if not bigger than COVID-19 and a recession. At a workshop at the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, Medicine, there was a keynote address by Professor Neil Halfon. He is the director at UCLA, the University of California, and is a professor at its School of Medicine. He said that mental, behavioral, and development problems are at epidemic levels among children in USA. Nearly 3/4 of the cumulative prevalence of mental health problems have their onset before the age of 25. Professor Twang of San Diego State University in February 2020 in the Physicians Weekly wrote that the epidemic is all too real. In fact, mental health issues among teens and young students, young adults, is nothing short of staggering. She says, from 2009 to 2017, major depression among 20 to 21-year-olds has more than doubled. When physical and mental health on one side and individual and society's wealth on the other side is threatened, who should society turn to? Only education can help us. But the question is, what type of education? It is clear that a cold-blooded approach to maximizing self-interest at the cost of society harms everybody. This 2008 recession has proved. The OECD now realizes that the solution is not in a single-minded pursuit of prosperity. Instead, it seeks to focus on well-being as a goal for 2030. Now, to achieve the goal, if you want to achieve the goal, we need to identify the problem. So, what was the cause of the problem? The OECD acted after 2008 recession. What caused the recession? Was it an interpretation of Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations? But he wrote the Theory of Moral Sentiment 17 years earlier than he wrote Wealth of Nations. Did profit maximization as a single-minded pursuit lead to ignoring impact of such behavior on society and environment? The 2008 recession ideas brought the world to its knees. But let's go back to the Renaissance. From the 14th to 17th century, there was a deep interest in ancient wisdom, and universities were set up to explore the basis of ancient wisdom. What did it do? It led to great creativity in European art and architecture. This was followed by a period of great discoveries and inventions. Were they due to an understanding based on ancient wisdom? If so, what has changed academics thereafter? Of course, the problem started a little early, but did it increase in the 1850s? Was the idea of scientific materialism of 1850s responsible for developing an academic approach that ignored the importance and centrality of human warm-heartedness and well-being? Scientific materialism believed that human beings, like all other subjects, are material entities. That the human mind does not exist as an entity distinct from the human body. They believed that thought originated in the study of medicine to study the human body as an organic phenomena without reference to a life force. Buchner was a German doctor who is one of the fathers of this concept. This was the beginning of making academic concept what we could call scalar. without adding what we can call as vector of values, giving a direction to what we are teaching using the human mind. How was the human mind understood as just matter? Buchner's materialistic interpretation of the universe gave an explanation of mind and consciousness as a physical state of the brain produced by matter in motion. That naturally when matter is in motion, this happens. And he traveled all over USA advocating atheism and atomism and denial of distinction between mind and matter. There is no difference between mind and matter. So what did it result in? He strongly defended competitive capitalism as an example of Charles Darwin's struggle for survival. So if you take his view, then 2008 recession was a natural struggle for human survival. So how did the change in education ideas start? Vogt repeated French philosopher Cabanis's 1802 statement in the book Relations of Physical and Moral in Man, that thought was secreted by the brain as liver secretes bile. And I quote, "For Cabanis, the behavior depended upon the arrangement of natural elements. The soul was superfluous since consciousness was merely an effect of mechanistic processes, and sensibility, the source of intelligence, was a property of the nervous system." The ideas of Vogt are not acceptable today, but they set the tone of thinking and the tone in which all curriculum has been written. Vogt was a polygenist, rejecting Darwin's monogenist view. I am ashamed to quote this today, but Gustav Jahoda has in his book written on the ancient roots of modern prejudice in Western culture, he writes that Vogt believed that the Negro was related to the ape. He wrote that the white race was a separate species from Negroes. In chapter 7 of his Lectures of Man in 1864, he compared the Negro to the white race and described them as two extreme human types. The difference between them, he claimed, are greater than those between two species of apes, and this proved that Negroes are a separate species from whites. The city of Geneva, Switzerland, named a boulevard called Karl Vogt after Vogt, and erected a memorial bust in the park in the University of Geneva. Let me give an example of another father of scientific materialism. Moleschott taught and practiced medicine. He explained the origin and condition of animals by working on physical causes. That because of physical causes, this is how animals react. And what did he teach? He taught no thought without phosphorus. So phosphorus was the key to thinking. He also taught the same principle that the brain secretes thought as liver secretes bile. And where did he teach? He taught in Zurich, Turin, Rome. That's how ideas spread. In 18th century, scientists believe that there is a vital principle that made compounds inorganic. Inorganic compounds did not have the vital principle, only organic compounds had the vital principle. Aristotle used this word to refer to breathing, life, soul. Only if you were living, you had a soul and were organic. That was the belief. Louis Pasteur's fermentation was his proof of this vitalism concept. He rejected that it is happening due to chemical agents. So this became the thought. Then what happened? Then urea, an organic compound, was made using inorganic compounds. This gave the death knell to vitalism, proving that only living things do not produce chemicals in life. So did we throw the baby along with the bathtub? Did we throw out the baby? So we gave up the whole concept of the mind as being different from matter just by the development of urea. How did it impact scientific thought thereafter? This becomes the question. Can we question scientific materialism today? That is the more relevant question to ask. Science now agrees that quantum physics describes the ultimate reality of the universe. Quantum physics discovers a strange role of the observer. Can an inert human body be that observer? If an inert human body, which is not alive, becomes the observer, it will not take any observations. Thus, the role of the mind as an observer, independent of the body, becomes clear in the ultimate reality of physics. Does this not controvert the belief of scientific materialism? Can we now revisit all science, all mathematics, all economics from this quantum view of wisdom? Can scientific materialism, after development of neuroscience and quantum physics, be considered so very scientific? Even modern medicine today, medicine is where scientific materialism emerged from. Even modern medicine today knows the link between the mind and physical ailments. Even the stomach ulcers are linked to the mind. But the clock has traveled too far in global curriculum. All the curriculum has been written in a neutral way, mind neutral, value neutral way. Can ancient Indian wisdom revert global curriculum back to its glory of Nalanda or even earlier? Let us look at the curriculum components. There are 4 components of the curriculum. These are curriculum aims, goals, objectives. The second is content or subject matter. The third is curriculum experience. The fourth is curriculum evaluation. Should the goals and objectives of curriculum be vector in nature, that is driven towards ethics, or should they be scalar as they are today, that is value neutral? Now we come to curriculum experience. Should the curriculum experience lead to students experiencing their own true nature, which is to seek excellence filled with goodness, or is it to teach them mindless competitiveness? Is that the final experience that we are giving in education? Then, can we evaluate education itself? We talk of curriculum evaluation. Let us evaluate education itself by using this experience criteria. What values do students have after they are educated? What are their resultant actions in society? Is society in a state of balance after the graduating students have joined society? These are the questions to ask. That is why in ancient Indian tradition, the educators took responsibility for society's problem. They said the buck stops here. If there are so many problems in society, either we are not teaching the right thing, or if we are teaching the right thing, maybe we are not teaching it correctly. If we are teaching the right thing and teaching it correctly, maybe it is not being understood correctly. If it is being understood correctly, then why is it not being applied correctly? Can we go back to asking these questions and go back to the roots of scientific materialism? There are 6 major philosophies in education today. Essentialism, progressivism, perennialism, existentialism, social reconstructionism, and behaviorism. Is OECD's conclusion of state of society after 1850s a reflection that scientific materialism is not working? Because the Industrial Revolution and scientific materialism, they are around the same time. So if you are rejecting education after 1850s because it is causing social pain, is it because of scientific materialism? If the curriculum is value neutral, will any of these 6 philosophies work? They cannot work. Look at behaviorism. Its idea is that all behaviors are acquired through conditioning. What have we conditioned our generations to think? If we had conditioned them to think differently, would these social problems have occurred? We have to ask ourselves. Essentialism. Plato's idealism held that all things have an essence, an idea or a form. Is this form that we have given scalar or vector? Does it have a direction of values or does it not? This is the time to ask that question. perennialism. It says that teach ideas that have lasted through centuries. What are the ideas that have lasted through centuries? They make a civilization survive. So what has made the Indian civilization survive? The idea of searching for the truth, the idea of righteous conduct, the idea of peace, the idea of love, the four shared values we began our presentation with. Then this is perennialism. These are the ideas to be taught, and curriculum has to be designed around them. Then we come to social reconstructionism. It views schools as tools to solve social problems. The very fact that so many social problems exist, it means the tools have failed. So all these theories should lead us to asking questions about our current education itself. And look at progressivism, that it states that students learn through their own experience. And it wants to teach students to be good citizens as well as good learners, a concept that is focusing on the whole child. If we had achieved that, why would OECD be changing its goal? Why would the World Economic Forum be looking at a different skill set needed for the 21st century, where foundational literacies are reduced to 1/3? Is it because foundational literacies, which are value neutral, they have not served the objective and therefore we are looking elsewhere? These are the questions. Can NEP 2020 guide a global curriculum? Ancient wisdom negates scientific materialism view that human beings and their bodies are only material entities. Ancient wisdom also disagrees that human mind does not exist as an entity distinct from the human body. The world is moving towards wisdom. The LNMU University, USA has developed a social, emotional, ethical, the SEE curriculum for K-12 education. It is called the Future of Education, along with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, headed by His Eminence Professor Samdong Rinpoche. Educating the mind is central to its three main ideas: the science of compassion, the cultivation of awareness, and the tools of engagement. With these observations from this land of Nalanda, I raise questions to global and Indian educators and offer their answers too. Using these ideas, the goal of OECD, the World Economic Forum, can be achieved, in my opinion. We can create economic prosperity, tackling social inequality, which is now emerging from a poverty of ideas. With this, I thank you all for your time and attention. Thank you very much.